Sit rep as follows.
Last night I dreamt about how things were.
Of every enemy of the state!
And then I woke up here.
What is the gray state? Are we living in it now? Are we headed towards it? When we survey the American landscape, symptoms of it appear everywhere. But do we really notice? Do we really care?
I'm here with Chuck Baldwin, and you saw the Gray State trailer.
I saw the trailer. I thought it was fantastic. I really hope they can get the money together to make that movie.
Amy, so I want to ask you, have you heard about the Gray State movie project?
Yes, I have. Who hasn't? No, it's awesome. I'm super stoked. I can't wait for it to get made and get put out and let the world see what really happens if we fail here today.
This is going to be a movie. Yeah. It's going to be in all the theaters, right? Good for you guys. Congratulations.
Mainstream media, in effect, has usurped our traditional heritage of storytelling as a means of passing on our culture. As an anti-culture, all we have are movies. So the mainstream media, in that usurpation of that, they've been able to dominate what we see and hear and what we pass on to our children. So imagine if we get a film like Gray State showing in a 1984 sort of format certain consequences of a failure to embrace liberty.
Oh, dude, is it like a narrative? The movie.
Right, yeah, it's not like a documentary.
No, it's an actual movie.
I think that's an important distinction to make, is that it's not a documentary. Where a documentary will pander to a certain crowd who already subscribes to those beliefs, this is a narrative film. It's a literal movie you're going to go to the theater and see. So just imagine the possibilities there.
The point is that this is where you're actually able to reach people. And a fictional account of near future paralleling reality, I think, is a great way to go.
It's definitely, instead of just being just an action film, it's definitely more of a narrative film, character-driven piece, and that's where we're sticking to our guns with on it.
Yeah.
Holy crap, guys.
That sounds really good.
That's pretty intense, bro. What do you think about that? That's pretty good.
Definitely. It's something that, I feel that can really unite everybody, especially if they see the real life of what can happen.
I think so. Yeah, I just saw the trailer just a few days ago, and I really liked it. I hope it spreads.
Look at the trailer for this. It's stunning. I've described it to people when they ask me what it's about. I say, well, it's kind of like Red Dawn if instead of the enemy being the Soviets, it was FEMA.
Do you think that a movie like this could unite all underneath one kind of idea to be able to overthrow this tyrannical government that we're facing?
It's entirely possible, man. I mean, television, movies, film, media do have that power to kind of, you know, that subversive element where you can watch a movie, you know, suspend disbelief. In this case, there's not much to suspend. This is all happening. So, but yeah, absolutely. I think movies, music, art, very, very powerful to promote messages of liberty.
If everybody could see something in a storyline in a movie and be like, wow, like the Hunger Games thing, the V, and all those other previous movies.
Yeah, a few years ago that was crazy science fiction. Now it's almost foreboding.
Well, then, no one goes there, but that's where it goes. That's possible.
You piece it together and you move music around and you can still move and educate. And you can piss people off, but you won't really scare them too much. You're watching someone get their head beat by a cop. But when you think futuristically, you know, George Orwellian kind of, you know, how bad could things get? And if they escalated a couple more steps from where we are now, even though it may not be there on the surface, what would be the final straw?
I want to get it out there and get a reaction, let people see it. I thought it was a good trip.
It's awesome.
You know, I don't want to wait 2 years because that might be coming a lot faster than you think.
Exploring a scenario like this from the current paradigm is the only way that you can do it, but it's a very important exercise to look forward and consider that possibility with the hopes of averting it. But at the same time, you have to look at that and go, holy fucking shit, we're halfway there.
We just got through watching the trailer for Gray State, and to be honest, it pisses me off that the country's come to this, but both myself and my best friend here are combat Marine veterans, and we're not going to sit here and just take this lying down.
How many here have seen the Gray State trailer? That is what's coming down the road. Now, why do I sound so urgent? You know what the NDAA is, don't you? It is a declaration of war on the American people. That's exactly what it is. Authorizing military force, that's killing you, military detention, and military trial or rendition to some foreign country. That is exactly the kind of abuse of power that led to the first American Revolution. What we're seeing is that it's a split between patriots and loyalists. This is what's happening across the country. People are choosing sides right now. You know, the people who will, you know, just do what the party wants and do what they're told and vote the way they're told, and they just keep voting for the machine.
Despite what people might think, this is actually a lot closer to happening than everybody really believes. Everybody labels us as conspiracy theorists, but that's just because people are stuck in their own denial and they don't want to believe that something like this can actually happen to them.
When you guys decided to do a serious movie that's literally going to scare people, let's face it, it's going to scare people. You look at, you know, Germany and you go, it didn't happen in a day. And people that have survived that and lived to talk about it go, it didn't happen in a day. And if that person saw your movie, they'd be nodding going, yep, yep, yep. But we don't know this.
I think that we have no idea what happens in a monetary collapse. And that's where we're headed. The government would have to prop itself up, and it would be through a police state.
And at very minimum, I see this as an awakening just because it might get people to start to prepare. You know, at least because the future is uncertain. You don't know what's going to happen. And most people have less than a week's worth of food in their house. It's true. I mean, we have a monetary collapse.
What's going to happen?
Stores are going to shut down.
What happens when those trucks stop rolling, right?
It changes people's outlook on what does transpire. Empty shelves.
What do I think? About damn time. And it needs to show some of the blood and guts in there because most people haven't got that much perception of that. That's what'll happen.
But the feedback has been divided, as we knew it would be, because there are people who are like, wow, someone finally is doing this. The rest of the people are like, I don't believe in that. So this is going to be a stupid movie.
That can't be real, so it's going to be a terrible movie. So I don't want to hear anything about it. But I wonder if they thought the same thing about Toy Story. Like, hey, Toys don't talk. This movie sucks.
And that's just good for us, because if they can't accept that it's that close to their reality, that if it creates that negative reaction, well, that's fine. That's fine. That means that we're doing our jobs. Yeah.
But I mean, obviously it shows economic collapse, takeover, people being rounded up. All those real preparations are being made. So regardless, you know, I mean, just the trailer you've made helps give people kind of an image of where this is going to go. If we just decide that anything in a uniform's God, well, the corrupt system will take that as a signal to move forward.
If that's gray state, we're already at light gray state, you know, and it's all shades of gray, right?
True reality of what can take place. Yeah, I mean, when people have no idea, and nor do I. And this is your project.
It's David and Mitch's project.
Yeah, but it raises that awareness.
I mean, just by looking at the trailer, the concept is awesome. The message of the possible loss of freedom here in our country is something that a lot of Americans just don't like to come to grips with. That this movie would help them realize what is at stake and the consequences of it.
It's coming. It's coming soon. And when it happens, nobody's going to be ready for it.
It's going to be so brutal because we don't pull any punches. This is not our game to pander to the lowest common denominator. We're going to make it as brutal as we possibly can because that is the reality we're facing.
And it's up to the people to help us out.
Believe me, the trailer is kick-ass. And I mean, if you were to walk in a movie theater and see a 2-minute trailer and it was a hack job done by crappy editing and lousy CGI, you would go, what's this piece of shit? That's not what you will say when you see the 2-minute teaser. And well, the reason they put that together and they did that hard work is because, again, these guys got to do it on their own dime, and that means we can help them out. Maybe, you know, Bubba listeners and, of course, Dangerous Conversation and Radio Isle listeners can hit their website, get on that PayPal, or we'll find out how they can drop them a dime or two.
So if you go to indiegogo.com/GrayStateMovie, you're actually buying something. You're going to get these shirts, you're going to get some props, you're going to get posters, but you're going to contribute to the film. And the number one thing is that we need all of that grassroots support to funnel into something like Indiegogo so we can actually harness on the hype while it's there.
What do I think? Yeah, let's get her out. Let's not hesitate.
When did you guys start working on this?
2 years ago.
I was going to say,
You guys need to get that funding so you can make that.
That's why I'm here.
Well, no, I mean, the fight is at its core spiritual, and you'd have to be in deep denial and delusion spiritually now to not know that the shadows are getting long here.
I know that I'm speaking to people who are awake, and I know that I can count on your support. Gray State has already been described as a prophetic look into a terrifying future, but I appeal to you here today to help us prove them wrong. Through our united effort, we keep this film in the fiction section.
Every new person we reach is a new network. Out of every 100 people who see the trailer, maybe one person chips in $5. So if we get the trailer seen by 1 million people, then I'm not too good at math, but that's probably $10 at least.
Google Gray State Movie, definitely. Google Gray State Movie. It's gonna be awesome.
We gotta hurry up and get this going because I want to be alive when the shit goes down. The anxiety's getting to me. I know they got a few more stints they can put in me and a few other things to prop me up, but I'm tired of monkey shitting around. Let's get her done. You don't stop. There ain't no way.
Is a gray state on the horizon? We're going to talk to two filmmakers and share their frightening vision on this edition of The Reality Report. What is the gray state? Are we living in it now? Are we headed towards it? When we survey the American landscape, symptoms of it appear everywhere. But do we really notice? Do we really care? The Patriot Act allows for sneak and peek searches of your home. National security letters prevent you from speaking of it. Indefinite detention and government abductions are threats if you speak out even on Facebook. We're joined now by the filmmakers who have extrapolated this present reality and have imagined a world of the future where the American dream is truly the American nightmare. David Crowley and Danny Mason. Gentlemen, what exactly is the gray state? Is it something that is actually looming on the horizon?
Hey, Gary, thanks for having us on. Yeah, definitely the gray state is something that we can turn around and look at, in our own reality. So the gray state is essentially an artistic representation of real aspects put into a fictional format.
Now, what you have released currently, and we're going to be showing that in just a moment, is the trailer. I want to commend you on the production there. It's beautiful. It's frightening. I think it's going to shock America. Tell us a little bit about the background, the creative drive to produce this production film.
Well, once you open your eyes and start looking at all these trends like RFID, like martial law, like FEMA, like executive orders, you have to act within your own capacity to sort of, talk about this. A lot of people filter that into the political realm. A lot of people do other things like grassroots style. I mean, I'm a filmmaker. Danny's an actor. So we put our heads together and we started making a project that would act within our own faculty to portray that in a creative manner. So definitely the trailer is our best efforts to kind of show this world and expose these very real issues that exist in our world today.
Well, how long have you been studying this type of political environment or these threats that do exist to the American people?
I've been studying this for probably solid 5+ years and stuff. So I think it presented the information to David and Mitch on it, and David just went crazy and took it to a whole entire new level.
Yeah, Danny started opening my eyes to these things in November of 2010, and it was my immediate prerogative to start thinking about, like, there's a story here. I have to start telling a story. So I was looking for the next film project to work on anyway. I'm like, well, this would be perfect. And it's not really perfect because you have to kind of filter down all this stuff into a narrative storyline that's not just propaganda telling you what's going to happen next, like 2012 or A Day After Tomorrow. It's got to be a human story, and it's got to be enduring and compelling.
So tell us a little bit about this storyline and what we can expect to see, because in the trailer, and we're going to jump to that trailer in just a minute, but we see families, we see children, we see the average American, and who are these people, and what is happening in their world?
Well, we had two options with the trailer. Our first idea was to have it very subdued with quiet music and making the visuals stand out and contrast that much more. But instead, as I started composing the music, I'm like, wait, no, we're going to have two versions of the trailer. One of them is going to be more Hollywood, more epic. And so that's the trailer we actually released. So what you see is just the context of the actual Gray State movie. It's not the actual purpose. So to say that it's a movie about martial law is a misnomer. It's actually going to be about characters who are in a scenario where martial law takes place. So what happens to the actor is, like, how would you and I react to this kind of situation where it's the Alex Jones version of the future scenario. It's Orwellian. We've got a martial law, we've got police state, we've got not even National Guard or police, but like private contractors who kill for money, policing our streets and telling us what to do and enforcing curfews and that kind of thing.
Now, how does this compare to a Hollywood production as opposed to the scale of the film?
Okay, I write a script and I come to you as a Hollywood producer and I'm saying, like, give me money and then you can have my script. And then you're a studio producer, you have so many millions of dollars this quarter to produce a film. The way we're different is we're independent and we don't expect any participation from any studios just because of its contentious nature. I mean, anyone knows that Hollywood has not approached this topic so directly before. That's what makes Gray State so compelling. It's that different. So we anticipate having to do our own legwork and getting the funding and the interest, and that's what we've been doing. That's what the concept trailer is. That is not an actual trailer from a movie that's been shot. It's conceptual. It's just an idea showing that A, it's a good idea, and B, we can pull it off.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump to the trailer right now.
response to UN presence in Minneapolis.
Last night I dreamt about how things were.
Of every enemy of the state!
And then I woke up here.
I think what you're onto is something that clearly is going to have an impact. So what steps now are you taking to get it into full production? I know we had just talked about showing it to the producers in Hollywood and sort of baiting them to get the script. So how far along are you in that process, and how can the people watching this video help you?
Okay, well, yes, we do have a storyline, and that's not to say that it's finished, because art is never finished. Art is simply taken away. So we are continuously working on the actual script itself, but we do have a draft, very solid draft of the script. Now, using the trailer as a marketing tool, we can approach a potential investor and say, hey, look, we have 200,000 views on YouTube. We have 7,000 fans on Facebook. We've gotten this much money already just from harnessing that hype. And that has been our plan, because we're going to use that as a marketing tool to approach an investor and say, hey, look, this is a project that's worth investing in.
Now, Danny, you've been in other films previous. How does this compare to past works you've been involved in?
This is definitely just night, day, even prepping for the trailer. My character in the actual film itself is a person who's an ex-Special Forces trained. So I took a liberty on myself to be doing months of military training, infantry, and then also consulting with Special Forces members. And just so, even though knowing that it was going to be a limited amount of time actually showcasing it, but a lot of it had to show, since I look young, but a lot of the actual, the character had to come across as much being older and stuff. So
we've been training Danny for almost 2 years now, and just what we know about military tactics and weapons. I mean, so a lot of the convincing material you see in the trailers because Danny has worked that hard in portraying like a Special Forces soldier.
And
so you have Special Forces on the set training your actors in the proper procedures so that you can have the fullest visual effect on screen.
Number one, if we're going to make a military film, we don't do it right, then it's not a military film. This isn't a military film, but you know what I'm getting at. So any aspect that we do include is going to be capitalized as far as credibility is concerned. So we've had, well, Mitch and I do all the weapons training because we're ex-military, but we have access to Special Forces guys who can advise us further, and we brought in some consultants for police, and like the guy who we brought in to run the riot line that you see, he actually ran it like a real riot line, and he whipped up that riot line, which is basically a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
And he had them stomping and yelling and doing all the real things a riot line would actually do in that scenario. And yeah, so we do bring in the experts.
And actually being on set when we're shooting it, scaring the crap out of the extras because for how real it actually was. And I did a lot of work actually in the riot, wearing the outfits, and also doing as the masked soldiers too.
As far as an actor goes, Danny is invaluable because actually anytime you see anyone who's faceless, like the bad guys or the riot guys or whatever, it's probably Danny. Danny shows up and he does any role we ask him to, even if it's just a faceless one.
Yeah.
And of course we just duplicate him 100 times on screen.
Yep.
Now let's talk about the journey that this film has taken you on and where you've been across the country. I know you guys were just down in Tampa. Talk to me about the journey and the feedback from the people who've seen the trailer.
away by the feedback on it. Actually, it's kind of incredible seeing how much, especially on Facebook, how it's just spawned and people just sharing as much as they can about it. So that's been very cool. But I think the coolest thing is the people who we've met in the process of it. And down the road, we're going to be meeting some of the brightest minds coming in October.
Oh yeah,
and stuff.
We'll reveal that when the time comes.
Yeah, it's just it's been so cool, and that's been one of the people that I know that me and David have looked up to. It's just kind of some forms of inspiration. Now being on a first name basis and talking to him, I mean, that's one of the most invaluable things I love about it.
But the feedback has been divided, as we knew it would be, because there are people who are like, wow, someone finally is doing this. The rest of the people are like, I don't believe in that. So this is going to be a stupid movie.
Yeah.
And that's just good for us, because if they can't accept that it's that close to their reality, that it creates that negative reaction, well, that's fine. That's fine. That means that we're doing our jobs.
Yeah.
But as far as the actual positive feedback, which is about 97, 98%, we know that the Liberty people, the Ron Paul people, the conspiracy theory crowd, those are our prime demographic. And that doesn't mean that we believe in those things or even subscribe to those ideas, but we know that those are the people who are going to go see our movie. I mean, right off the bat, they're going to go see our movie.
And they're also going to, grassroots and
spread.
The
grassroots spread.
Yeah.
I mean, the 200,000 views, more or less where we're at right now, that happened because of spontaneous Facebook sharing. That wasn't us. We are just about to start our email campaign. We've just been busy with other things. But we are definitely tapping that market. We went to the Bilderberg protest in Chantilly, Virginia. That was back in May and June. And then, like you said, we went to RNC just because we know that these are where the people we want to reach are going to be. And so we went to Bilderberg to actually secure interviews with a lot of people like Adam Kokesh, and then we met him again at RNC. But this is a process I've described as plugging in the Christmas, or doing the Christmas tree, putting all the ornaments on before plugging it in. So we want to establish our interest before we start to actually plug it.
Well, clearly there is a groundswell of support for this film, and I can only hope that this interview will help perpetuate that, push you guys forward. One last time, tell the people watching this interview how they can support and contribute directly to the success and the production of this film.
In harness like grassroots support, we've planned a crowdfunding campaign. So if you go to indiegogo.com/GrayStateMovie, you're actually buying something. You're going to get these shirts, you're going to get some props, you're going to get posters, but you're going to contribute to the film. And the number one thing is that we need all of that grassroots support to funnel into something like Indiegogo so we can actually harness on the hype while it's there. Now, that's not going to fund the actual film. The actual film is going to be like a real movie, like several $1 million, which is going to come from investors and things like that. But for now, go to GrayStateMovie.com, go to Indiegogo.com/GrayStateMovie, and that's where we can start.
Yeah, go to YouTube, spread the trailer.
Google Gray State. There's going to be like 40 pages of hits off of Gray State because it's just going that wild.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's just hope this interview gets as much views as your trailer, and we can get this thing out there and show you guys the support. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
In today's Your Voice segment, we want to ask you about the potential future of America. Are we on the verge of a police state, or is it just a conspiracy? Remember, leave your answer in the comments section below. Help us grow the show by sharing this report on Facebook, Twitter, and your favorite social sites. And remember, you can connect with patriots like you at rtr.org. I'm Gary Franchi, and thank you for watching.
You rolling? You rolling?
Yeah, we're good.
This is John Warnick of the Resistance. I don't know how far this broadcast will reach. They've taken the city. They're trying to erase us. Now more than ever, we need you to act. And if you're receiving this message, you've been recruited. Welcome to the fight, Patriots. Yeah, fight! Our enemies are moving in, and they anticipate us not having the numbers to resist. It is up to you to prove them wrong. Get this message out, and wake up the Patriots! I don't need to remind you what would happen should we fail. One of these days could be our last. By helping and taking action and contributing to the cause, you'll be remembered as taking a stand against the Gray State before it completely destroys everything we know. You're inside! Most of us die pointlessly and are forgotten. Do you really want to die without making a sound? Either stand now or kneel forever! You alright? He's dead. Keep rolling! Keep rolling! There are only days left. The gloves are off, the safeties are off. If you're looking for a sign, this is it. The Diplomacy is over. War is here. If we don't make this happen, history will not remember us.